On this week's episode, we are talking about the band The Devil Wears Prada. But before we get into the band, you get a peek behind the curtain of who Josh really is as we get off into a pretty wild tangent about him mowing his lawn and what he does on his own property. Getting into the band, we talk about how they exploded onto the scene and really took off during the initial Myspace and Hot Topic days. We talk about how there was a period while they started to transition and explore their sound where we kind of fell off for a minute. But going back today and re listening to all their music, we agreed that all the music that they put out is still fantastic, including their most recent album, Color Decay. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about this one, and if you're excited for new The Devil Wears Prada music, or if you're still stuck on Roots being their best album. But for now, let's open this pit up.
Hey guys, this is Josh. I am here with Trevor and Kyle today from the Pip Therapy Podcast. How are you guys?
Doing good, man.
I can't even take you serious right now.
Just get over it.
I know you guys can't see it right now, but Kyle is in support of System of a Down and has a massive goatee. I think it looks sick. Trevor thinks otherwise, but
Yeah, I don't know what his deal is.
Looks like you have, who's the band who did the song Dig? Looks like Mudvayne. You just have Mudvayne on repeat right now.
Mudvayne? Dude, Mudvayne's sick too.
Just Dig over and over. Just the one
Dude, it's a
song.
good looking goatee. I don't know what your issue is.
Yeah. I kind of think you should try a soul patch.
It takes like a long time for that, like the hair right there to grow down. But
Do this
Yeah.
little thing.
Dude, mine's like straight blonde, but mine gets long and it pokes out. So I can like poke someone in the eye
mine will
with
go
it.
down. It just takes. It's not long enough right now for me to just do the soul patch. But
I get really like thick hairs, like to the point where I have to pull them out, and I'm like, man, that's like an 18 gauge needle. I don't know how that ended up in my body.
Oh my gosh. Dude, if you're going to do this, at least grow it to the point where you can braid it. They go like full bass System of a Down style, braided. Listen,
I'm gonna grow it out a little. I'm gonna grow it out a little more. But I kind of dig it. And here's the thing, man, because like I've just been experimenting. You know, I did the mustache like a month ago, and it was all right. The problem is, and then I grew the beard back, and the beard grew back pretty good in like a month and a half. You know, but I went to one of my kids' sports games, and it was like 90 degrees, and I was just like burning up. So I was like, I want to shave it, but I can't shave everything. So I was like, I don't want to do a mustache again because it's too hot on my upper lip. It like makes it sweat. So I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna do the System of a Down goatee, and I'm rocking it, man. I'm looking good. I feel good. Okay.
I think it'd be way fun to grow out a mustache. The problem I have with it is I did it too much as a joke when I was younger. I don't think I could take myself serious growing one.
Do it. Just do it.
Dude. Mustaches are only for when you're like joke shaving your face. You grow your beard long. Like Josh, you have the perfect beard right now. When you go to shave it piece by piece. And you just take pictures as you go down.
Oh, I do that
Yeah,
I
you
do that a
should
lot.
like the shoehorn
I know.
where you only shave the chin and then you keep the like beard and mustache.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You get
The
the
Fu
big old
Manchu.
chops coming.
Fu Manchu.
You go the handlebar style, you know. You shave it up and you wick up the ends a little bit.
See, I tried that and I could not get my beard hair to like cooperate to do that. I could get one side to go, but this side would just like go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that much dedication.
I hate mustaches
man.
though, dude, because they get long and then like they're in your mouth and stuff. Like when you bite down on food, you like get a bite of hair and it's gross and it hurts.
It's a snack for later.
You just got a little like you just trim right around the lip and then it just gets like fuller and
That's
bushier,
annoying.
but it just doesn't go
It's
in.
annoying.
I think I hate trying to eat cereal and like really saucy pasta. It's annoying. Like
'Cause you eat like a
spaghetti,
4-year-old?
like I'm destroyed.
What?
What? Huh?
You just spill a lot when you eat, or what's going on?
Man.
Do I what?
Nothing, dude.
Do I
No, he's
spill?
saying it gets in his mustache.
Or it's like if you're eating spaghetti noodles and like the noodles like kind of like hit the front of your face, it like drags up your beard, and then it just, if it's really saucy, it gets all over. Because like my mustache does hang out in front of my mouth, and so like I don't have a chance. Like never had a chance. But anyway, so it's been like, has it been 2 weeks? I can't
it's been
remember.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it has.
Dude, I fought my lawnmower last week so hard, and I was so pissed. I think it was on a Wednesday. Did you guys do a local episode last week? I don't remember.
No.
But we have one coming up, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I fought my lawnmower, and I fought pretty much everything in my house. I got my wallet stolen on Monday.
The fuck?
I was really bummed. I had to go down to the driver's license division and get a new license and new cards, and yeah.
So,
dude, I was bummed. I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Where'd your wallet get ripped off at?
The gym. So like I go in the locker and I pull out like my phone and my wallet, my stuff, and I usually put my pants like in the locker, and then I'll put my stuff in my pocket and go. I think I just somehow missed my wallet and left it in my pants, put it in the locker. So when I got done at the gym, I was like feeling around. I'm like, oh, maybe I left it in the locker. And then I went and looked in the locker and it was gone. And so I like canceled. Well, I froze all my cards except the debit, and I was just watching it, and sure as crap, had a random charge started coming up, and I'm like,
oh, serious?
Yeah, I'm like, well,
what was it for?
Stolen.
Was it something cool?
No, freaking consulting fee. I'm like, oh, so you stole a credit card and went and paid a lawyer. That makes sense.
You're just thinking ahead.
Yeah, I'm like, let me guess, you're probably paying the lawyer for a theft charge from somebody else. That makes sense.
What does the dad say from Arrested Development? You can't be charged for the same crime twice or something like that. That's probably what this guy's thinking.
Double jeopardy.
That's what this guy's thinking. So,
yeah.
Speaking of the gym, here's a question for you. Do you guys pee in the shower?
All the time.
Like at the gym? After
okay, we can appendage that question to that too. But like, is it?
I have like good reasoning, but let me hear yours.
I don't care. I do it. I'm fine with it. It's just a big toilet.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've seen on the internet like a whole bunch of people talking about how crazy it is that people pee in the shower, and I'm like, it's fine, you know.
Dude, well, I feel like this is the generation we come from, and maybe this will make sense. So I was talking to some guys I work with, and they're telling me how much they hate water. So they put in that like little mixed stuff of water so they can just drink water all day. And I was like, dude, I don't like water. I was like, but you know what water I do like? When you've been like out skateboarding all day and it's just hot, and you come home and there's the garden hose, and you just crank that thing on as hard as it'll go, and you just drink from the garden hose. That's like my favorite water. I want that water flavor.
This has something to do with it. I love hose water.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like a different generation, because like people now they're like, oh no, I've got to have filtered this, filtered that. Like, how crazy are you to be drinking that kind of water? And I'm like, bro, I drank secondary water. Like, I didn't care.
So you're saying that like people today are soft because they won't pee in the shower or drink from the hose?
Okay. Oh, 100%.
I mean, those are weird. Like,
I mean,
measure that by, but I agree with you though.
but hey, here's things about peeing in the shower. For one, actually, if you pee on your feet, it'll actually keep athlete's foot away.
Is that okay?
That's a real thing.
I'll believe you.
And
kind of like jellyfish stings, like you just pee on it.
Yeah, but if you pee in the toilet and then you flush the toilet before you get in the shower, you have to deal with cold water for a second. Or if you pee and you then take a shower and then flush after, if you forget to flush, then your bathroom stinks next day. So
it's a waste of water too, you know. Like water's out to go.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you all these excuses, but when it comes down to it, I'm just super lazy and just pee.
What about you, Trevor?
Like,
you didn't answer the question. I'm curious.
I'll pee in the shower.
You guys take a dump and I'm just kidding.
I mean, not by choice.
Okay. You're a special circumstance, so we get it.
Yeah. Do you guys want more about this? Do you guys pee in your backyard?
No, because I have like a what do you call it? The small poles. What do you call those?
His fence
My
is
fence
not
is not
private.
private. No, it's not it's like a link. It's like what do you call that?
I don't know.
It's
not
like a closed off. No, it's like an open
private.
fence, because we have like a walking path behind the house. So, and they require.
Well, it was really funny. I was mowing the lawn last week, and I like stopped like on the way around, and like Cheyenne turned. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like leaned up against the fence, and I was like, "I'm taking a pee. I gotta pee."
I don't know about that, man. No,
Why don't you go inside? Like, why do you go inside? And I'm like, because this is my backyard. This is mine. I will do as I please.
There have been, but there's like legal precedents towards stuff like that though, because I know that people have like sunbathed topless in the backyard, and like the argument is like, well, this is like my private property, and if anyone sees it, it's because they're like looking into my stuff. So like, I guess. Well, okay. Draining the hose is probably equal.
Okay, let's put it this way. I'm not just like whipping it out wherever. I am like kind of like, all right.
Backyard.
Yeah, it should be good, but anyway.
It's like one of those.
Oh man.
You know those like little toys that you hook your hose up to, and it's like the little noodle spinning around being that's just Josh on the ground.
Yeah.
Flicking around everywhere.
So funny.
Cheyenne's trying to run and jump over it, like kids do without getting wet.
Oh, that's funny.
Was that you? Was that your tattoo on your stomach? Did you get a samurai?
I did. I got a samurai.
You going like full samurai on us since you're reading the Book of Five Rings and tattooing samurais? You're like Joe Rogan now.
He's like
right? No way.
What's the guy? He's Jeremy Jam from Parks and Rec. That's like you're gonna walk into Josh's house. He's gonna have pictures of what's that golfer? Michelle Wade.
Michelle Wade. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. No, I got it. Yeah, I got that samurai. That was rough.
Where is it? It's on your side?
Yeah, my whole left side.
You're going Joe Rogan, man. You're gonna start giving us facts about like scientific papers here next time. So
no way, dude. That dude's a clown.
Agreed. He's a clown.
Some of his stuff's funny, but like overall, I'm like, you what? I'm like, you freaking comedian, you.
Alrighty.
But anyway, new music. There's been kind of some random stuff that's popped up I wasn't expecting.
There was a decent amount this time. What do you have? What did you catch this week?
Well, so my buddy of mine recommended me the new. It's Falling in Reverse with Tech Nine.
Oh my gosh, dude! You were recommended that, or it was like, hey, look at how stupid this is.
No, I was recommended it,
dude.
And I was
Tech
like,
Nine, Falling in Reverse, and then Slaughter to Prevail, and the song is called Ronald.
Yeah,
this dude is the most egotistical clown in the entire scene. It is insane.
Well, it's funny. He was like, "Did you see the song I posted on my Facebook?" And I'm like, "No." He goes, "Oh, dude, you need to go listen to it. It's this guy, this guy, this guy." And then it came up, and I saw it on Facebook, and I went, "I don't have the energy for that right now." Did you listen to it?
Yes,
I didn't.
I did.
Oh, you got suckered. How was it?
I listened to it because of the Tech Nine feature, to be completely honest, right? Because that's out of like left field.
Not anymore, though. Wasn't it like Megan Thee Stallion that was featured in one of these songs not that long ago, too?
No, Spirit Box was featured on her song.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Other way around. Yes and no. I mean, I don't think Courtney screamed on it, if I remember. I think that she was just singing on it. So kind of yes and no kind of thing. But no, it's what you would expect. It is. I was just having this conversation last night at the show. It's coworker metal.
I'm coining the term metallic butt rock.
Metallic
There
butt
you
rock.
go.
I got to check out the new Coheed and Cambria single or whatever.
The
Dude, they are
joke.
the
I know.
weirdest band, but they are so
Yeah.
good.
Okay, I was just thinking about this. I'm pretty sure is his name Claudio?
Mhm.
Isn't
Yeah.
that their
I think
vocalist name?
so.
He could just sing over anything. It doesn't matter. He could sing
Yeah.
over jazz and it would make jazz good, right? Like his voice just ties everything together so well.
Mhm.
It's a weird song, but it is so good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun
I'm
to see.
surprised they're still making music because weren't they supposed to quit like 2 albums ago or something? I don't know. I thought they
To
were
be honest,
done.
I'm
Like
not
I thought
sure.
they were done, and then all of a sudden they came back.
I feel like most bands have like 9 cat lives. So by the 9th time, then they're usually done.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
don't
freaking.
I feel like they could go forever.
Their music's really cool. I mean, I've gone back and listened to them a little bit since they announced Furnace Fest, and you forget like
Mhm.
how entertaining their music is. Like
Well, all their albums
Yeah.
are storytelling.
Yeah, they have literal like graphic novels with it, right? And I just
Mhm.
feel like we've lost some of that creativity in music, nowadays. So
Which I do feel like the band we're talking about today, the Devil Wears Prada, actually does storytelling very well. And so that's going to be, part of what we're going to talk about. I liked it. I thought it was a cool take. I hope they play old Coheed at Furnace Fest when we see them, but I'll take whatever. Did you guys listen to the story so
Yeah.
far?
Yes.
What do you guys think about that one? So they've got 3 now: Big Blind, Letterman, and this one. All this time.
yeah, me too.
I like it. I mean, it's still different from Anxious or not Anxious, No Pressure, but I think it's cool. It's a little softer than like their first 2 records, but it's a little heavier than their latest release.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I
this is
agree.
like best case scenario for Parker. Like you show up every couple years with a new story so far that sounds like the story so far, right? Like this didn't sound like anything new, which I'm cool with. Like just sound like the story so far. That's all I want to hear. And then go do No Pressure to get the rest of it out of your system, like best case scenario.
He picks the coolest vocal patterns.
Yeah, he
And
really does.
they're just so distinct where I'm like, man, wish I would have thought of that.
Yeah, I like this one. It was more in line with Big Blind. And so, like, I didn't care as much for Letterman. I thought Letterman was good, but I definitely like Big Blind and All This Time way more than Letterman. So I'm hoping that we get like at least 4 more songs like this, and then they can do like 2 or 3 more softer story so far style. I'd be cool with an
for
album
those
like
just
that.
tuning in, go listen to our episode about the story so far, because
Yeah, we
right.
debate this
Because
quite a
honestly,
bit.
like I'm cool with their later sound, So if this album sounds like Proper Dose, I'm fine with it. I don't think it's going to. These songs are a lot faster than stuff on Proper Dose. So
Right.
I agree. And then I just sent you guys earlier today, Sea of Treachery. They dropped a new song. Did you guys see that?
I haven't listened to
I
it
haven't
either.
listened to it, no.
So it's not on streaming services yet. It's only on YouTube currently. And they kind of dropped the deathcore feel. It is pretty much like straight old As I Lay Dying, like Shadows Are Security style, is how I felt. So it was cool. It's way more even like metal than even metalcore kind of thing, too. They got some soloing in there and a few things like that. It's
I'm gonna hate it.
interesting. You know what? I don't know if you will because it is that older style. It feels like early as I Lay Dying, Haste the Day, stuff that you liked back in 2005. So I don't think you're turning it on all the time, but I also don't think you're going to be like, oh, yeah, this
All right,
sucks.
I'll check it out. I was just gonna say the early November released an EP, and it's actually super good.
Oh, really? That's cool. I've heard
I
from
know.
those guys
Came
in a
out of
long time.
nowhere. I didn't even know they were writing music, but it's really good.
Elijah drops their re-release of Masochist tomorrow.
Yeah.
They did pre-release like 4 songs. I don't know if you guys
Uh-huh.
have listened to those yet. They've been remastered. Man,
I only listened to one.
his vocals are to this day are still so pissed.
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's so good. So
I'm excited. That's actually the album I'm going to be listening to tomorrow. And I read that they're doing some of their old demos with it too.
yep.
I don't know if they were unreleased or previously released or whatever, but
Yep. I think it was just back when you could get a burnt CD almost, or like on MySpace.
so pretty much unreleased. So it's going to be new to a lot of people, which is going to be super sick.
Did you guys get a chance to listen to that song I sent you?
Which one?
The band is called Avoid, and the song is called Can't Take This Away.
Oh, I've heard them before. I've listened to that song before.
Just listen to the last 30 seconds, Kyle. It's a huge banger.
Oh, is this the saxophone? Yeah, dude. This sounds way good. Did you know who else had a sweet saxophone? Was freaking Bill Murray. I did listen to that like this week. I listened to some of his stuff.
Yeah.
He's not referring
to the actor, referring to the vocalist from Attack Attack's band called Bill Murray. Have you ever heard of that, Josh?
I feel like I've heard of them, but I've never
I'm
heard
kind
of
of
them.
down with this Avoid. I'm gonna have to listen to this.
It's just like
it's not bad.
Just like rock music, I guess.
Yeah, but if they do it and don't take it serious, like playing saxophones, then like I can get into it more that way. So.
And then I'm just going to touch on these. There's 3 more that came out. Easy Out is the Walking Blind guys. So No Bragging Rights vocalist, Torture Culture vocalist. They're doing like a skate punk band. They just dropped their first single, which was awesome, called Somewhere in Between, I think is what it was called. Midfield is a pop punk band, and they just put out a single back in April. It has a feature from Goalkeeper on there, who we've talked about. And then Salt Lake, Spent. I know, Josh, you know about these guys, but Salt Lake City Hardcore, they dropped 2 singles, Reality Strikes in the Search, and they're actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. They're worth a listen to as well. So they're playing with Johnny Baseball for their CD release show coming up here in a month or so. Them, Absolved, Johnny Baseball, and I don't remember who else is on that. Oh, and then the one that I didn't send to you guys. So another Salt Lake band, You're the Worst. Have you listened to them much?
Mm-mm.
So You're the Worst. This is one of my favorite things that's come out recently. They did the Robbie Hart EP. It is The Wedding Singer, Adam Sandler. They covered 3 of his songs. So they did Kill Me Please, That's All, and Grow Old With You. And dude, like, it is so awesome. Grow Old With You is like a perfect movie soundtrack cover song. Like, oh dude, I freaking loved it. It was awesome. So you should check all those out.
That's sick.
Yeah. Upcoming shows.
The only one I have is the Koyo second half tour, and I'm pumped for that. So
yeah, that'll be cool.
I'm glad it's with all 3. That 10 a.m. tomorrow. This will be out way later than that, but that's when tickets go on sale. So put that on your calendar. And then Josh, you sent us Sisters of Mercy and Black Audio.
Yeah. Black Audio, that would be very cool to see, because you're probably never going to get a chance to see him again.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm surprised that they're doing that, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I feel like some of the bands we were way into when we were younger tour with like the most bizarre bands now. I mean, like when we saw, Thrice, for example, they weren't with like anybody crazy. Same with like when AFI came through, they weren't with anybody crazy like they would have been back in 2005.
Yeah.
Weird. So, like you say, usually the openers aren't like terrible, but they're just kind of like, it's weird. Why did you pick them? Even like when not the last time Thursday came, but I guess maybe the last time Thursday came, like not that they came with anybody bad, it just wasn't like anybody I was, man, this would be a sick tour. It was just like, oh dude, Thursday's doing their 20-year anniversary. I'm gonna go. So
yeah. Yep, I completely agree with that. I'm bummed that I didn't go see, because I was down with Kyle, the Finch Armor for Sleep. Like that was a cool lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Bayside. That was like that's what I wanted from the Thursday 20 year. I
Yeah.
wanted Thursday with Finch. I wanted Thursday with Thrice or something like that, you know.
It's interesting to see Armor for Sleep touring a lot now.
Yeah.
So, because they they did their little tour last year, the beginning of last year, and then they came here in October of last year. I can't remember they came. They came with the early November, and now they just came here with Finch, and then they're coming back next month. They're on the 20 Years of Tears tour.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I'm like, you guys are touring a lot again.
Do you think that their 20 year was like testing the waters? I
Could have
almost
been.
wonder a band like that.
Well, it's weird. Even their 20 years, it wasn't a huge tour. It was like very small.
Yeah, in terms of not many stops, right? But
Yes.
I wonder how it did in terms of like ticket sales and stuff. I wonder if that was like testing, like I said, testing the waters to see if people are still interested.
I know when they dropped like new merch, I've got a long sleeve Armor for Sleep shirt. It says like Dream to Make Believe on it, I think.
That's pretty dope.
So yeah, I think Armor for Sleep's one of my favorite bands from that era. They're just so good. Just
I
rocking.
love them.
So
They're all right.
So
as far as other tours I have,
crazy
shows coming up. I mean, there's the Madball one on May 24th, but other than that, it's just been kind of dry for a minute. I know Wild West Fest put up the dates, but they haven't put an announcement yet. I will be out of town when that's going on, but that'll
I
be
didn't even
something to
see
look
that.
forward to. Yeah, I want to say it's the second weekend in October, and I'm flooded in October, so
That might be when we're at Furnace Fest. So I'll have to see.
But speaking of Furnace Fest, what band are you guys going for? And then we'll jump into the band that we're talking about today.
All of them, dude.
The lineup's crazy.
I don't think there's a single band there that I'm like, I don't know if I want to see them.
The one that pushed me over though was the Misery Signals.
You didn't want to drive to Boise?
No, not really.
There's just like a bunch of bands on there that I don't know that I'm ever gonna be able to see again because they're like old and stuff, or they're done, like Misery Signals, and two, bands like Incendiary and Mindforce don't really do full country tours, right?
I think like even more than just the band, if you've never done a fest, especially with all these fests going on, like you need to do at least one. Because 10, 20 years from now, when that's not a thing anymore and it's moved on to something else, it's just like you're going to think 20 years down the road, like, man, I should have just gone.
I'm going to make it a goal to go to at least one a year. So,
yeah.
Because I want to hit all the big ones, right? Sound and Fury, This Is Hardcore, FYA. What are the other
I
ones?
would love to do LBD.
Yeah.
LBD was sick this year. That would be a fun one.
Yeah.
So it's crazy just how many there are. So, but we've talked about festivals 1,000 times on here. So,
all right. The Devil Wears Prada. I kind of looking these guys up. I kept getting mixed things because of the stupid movie.
Dude, I remember telling my wife, I was like, you should come listen to the Devil Wears Prada. And she's like, from the movie? I was like, yeah, it's the soundtrack to it. And then she was like super mad when it wasn't.
What's wild to me, and I don't know if you guys feel this way, I felt like this band was a lot older than they actually are, but they formed in 2005. So like we were already going to shows and they weren't a band. That's weird.
they just came out with such a heater.
Yeah.
With Dear Love.
Mm-hmm.
It was just captivating.
I feel like what's super nostalgic for me with them is I'm sure you guys have seen it, the the video of them playing at Warped Tour on the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very nostalgic. Like I remember I watched it a couple days ago and I was like, man, I remember the first time like seeing this. It's like, man, this is so good. Because not only were they good, but they were like wild, and weren't afraid to like interact with the crowd and things like that, which I always thought was way cool.
They've always been like that. They are like, whether you like their music or not, they put on one of the best shows you'll ever see. Like they are so good live, and their stage presence is just like way above most bands.
Yeah. I mean, and they both, in both settings, because I saw them at Warped Tour a lot, but I also saw them like, on tour a lot. And, like a lot of times, like you see a band at Warped Tour and it almost kind of like doesn't count. It's like they're all tired from being there all day. But no, man, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So, but I felt like the band was super unique when I first heard them, because it's kind of, aside from Under Oath, this is now like a band that has introduced like piano, but like synth, like kind of like overbearing. But it kind of fit in kind of their weird, eerie, gloomy stuff.
I feel like it was very, when they do it, it's like all in, but it's not the whole song. You know what I mean? Like it's very pronounced when they do it, but it's not, I don't feel like it's overbearing in the sense of like it drowns out the rest of the song, the whole song, right? It's usually like, it'll be the focus of like a 15-second part of a song, and then it's just back into the background. And I think that's such a good way to do it, because I hate when it like drowns out, the rest of the music, like some bands have done.
Yeah, I think like Attack Attack was like too synthy for me, right? Especially now. But then like a band like Drop Dead Gorgeous would like pretty good, but sometimes it would get a little too annoying with that kind of stuff. I mean, listening through all of Devil Wears Prada, I don't hate any of it. I have like stuff that I like more than others, but it's all very well put together.
So I thought you were talking specific to the keyboard and stuff. The only time that I didn't like the keyboard is in the Zombie EP. Because I feel like that first Zombie EP is just so freaking in your face that it did kind of take away a little bit of the aggressiveness of that album. But yeah, there's two albums that are just mid for me. And then everything else in their discography is top tier.
Right. What about you, Trevor?
I mean, are we talking overall, or what are we talking about at this point?
Overall. I think we should do what we've done with some of these other bands that have a lot of discography, and we should rank them at the end, because I would be very interested to see.
I mean, just like in a general, like, do you feel like they did a good job at like introducing like more piano stuff more than other bands, or like what stood out to you about that?
Yeah, so in terms of like that kind of stuff, I grew up playing piano. So I was always attracted to bands who had piano, synth, things like that. Drop Dead Gorgeous was one of my favorite bands, like early on when we were getting into like screamo music, right? So when this album came out, Dear Love, A Beautiful Discord, at the end of Dogs Can Grow Beard All Over, that final breakdown that has the synth in it, it just like hooked me. And I think that you guys are right. They incorporate it in a way that it does just add to their sound. It doesn't distract from it. I will disagree with you, Kyle, in terms of the Zombie EP, because what you said in terms of like adding to like the gloominess and things like that, even though that album is just so heavy, that EP is so heavy, it adds almost that like eerie feeling in the background.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It's too vampire-y for me.
But that's the point of it, right?
I know, but I don't think, but just like an album that just hits as hard as that one did. I get the concept of it. Right?
So we're talking about the wrong monster for you, right?
No, but it's true. It's true. Like you need the space stuff and think, oh, Frankenstein,
But yeah, no. Overall, like I really enjoy that aspect. I actually think that they did it very well, to the point where a lot of people tried to copy them. A Bullet for Pretty Boy comes to mind, where they tried to incorporate more like piano style, like Drop Dead, like the Devil Wears Prada. A Bullet for Pretty Boy was the next one that had that really beautiful piano opener kind of thing straight into the heavy. And these are the bands that like establish that.
Yeah.
So I really
Right.
like them for that.
So they start in 2005. They have their EP, and then they end up re-recording that plus other songs, or whatever, and they put together their first full length, which was recorded by Joey Sturgis, which I found very interesting because his recordings have evolved so much from 2005 to 2010. It's insane to me what like 5 years of technology did to this kind of music. Because I know he recorded the next two records. I don't know anything past that point, but the next two records like sound completely different. They sound like way more like unrealistically tight, where you're almost kind of like, there's no way they played this.
Very digitally produced.
Mhm.
Oh, 100%.
It goes back to what you were saying when you were recording, and you'd almost note for note pluck it out and then meticulously computerize it so that there's not a break.
Yep.
It's all seamless. It's all on time.
Yep.
It's just straight through.
Yep. Yeah. What so listening to this first record, man, it had some good songs on it. Let me pull them up.
While you're pulling them up, I just want to, if people haven't listened to the Get to Know Us episode, without this record, we would not, like Josh would not, we would not be here, right? Because this is how we became friends. You know, we listened to this album in auto class, you know?
Yep.
So I remember in the back.
The song you were talking about, Dogs Can Grow Beards All Over.
Yeah.
And then this also has is that the same nostalgic song I'm talking about from the MySpace days? Probably. But man,
I'm sure
the whole record is still good. It's not as good as I remember, but it's still good. But it has a little bit of everything. You get your singing, your screaming, your breakdowns, your not overly synth piano stuff. But what do you guys remember about this record?
I agree with you. It's not as good. Like this album is fully nostalgia, like a nostalgia hit for me. Because going back and listening to it, they've grown a ton, right? I think they were like in high school or just out of high school with this album, which is pretty crazy. I will say though that Dogs Can Grow Beards All Over is like a top 5 song for them. It's incredible.
Right.
The freaking breakdown at the end with the synth is it's amazing. So I like it, but it's not at the top for me anymore. It's crazy to see how far they've come from this album though. And I think they would agree. I don't think they like this album.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I don't think they like a lot of their early discography stuff. If you listen to
that's true. Yeah.
It. So for me, I'll take Dogs Can Grow Beards All Over even a step further. And I'll say it's like a top 5 song of all time for me personally.
All right.
But listen, like it's because of what you're talking about, the nostalgia factor, and how much that this song specifically introduced me to so much in like the scene, into like my taste in music. It was like the first song I could remember with a really like southerny 2-steppy part, in there. And then having that synth at the end, that was a huge piece for me. It has he wears slick jacket and gold watch, very memorable lines in that whole thing. And then, dude, we wanted to be Chainsaw Brutality, Tornado Strength. We wanted to be the Devil Wears Prada. I would honestly attribute the Devil Wears Prada a lot to the type of band that we tried to do when we were in high school. We covered this song very specifically. Mm-hmm. So like this song has, I'm not saying it's like a top 5 well-written song of all time, but for like what it did for me musically and the stuff that I like and everything, it holds a place in like the top 5 songs for me, like personally, just of what it introduced, what it is, our relation to it, covering it and stuff like that. I've got so many memories of this song specifically.
Yeah, going back listening to it, I mean, so it's a different band, I think, for us to talk about because we literally grew up when this band started. So listening to it when it first came out, right? We're not going back trying to listen to stuff. I was like, man, this is, like I say, top record for me. Going back listening to it now, and I'm like, yeah, it's still good, not as good as I remember. It's just like a very immature record of the Devil Wears Prada, especially when they came out with their next record, Plagues.
And that's the biggest thing, right? Is like, how many bands around this time though came out with an album that was similar to Dear Love, A Beautiful Discord, right?
Right.
Tons. Like you could like tons. And they didn't make it because I don't think they grew enough from like next albums or whatever. You know what I mean? Which I guess is what separated them, because going from this album to Plagues, like, yeah, you can say it's super digital, but like musically it's pretty different. It's way faster.
Well, there's more production involved, but with the production, it's almost like there's more thought into it. I mean, the song HTML Rules, Dude. And I mean, their song titles are, make me laugh every time I look at them. They're probably like, I don't know what to call them. But yeah, there's more production. There's more thought into the actual writing of the songs. Like, it's almost like the first record was like a trial. Like, well, we'll see how it does. And it did well. And after, like, okay, let's take it serious.
I don't think they're taking it serious for this album or the next one. That's my opinion though.
What I mean, as far as like production, like actually evolving into like the writing of their music, like let's actually try.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'll disagree with you, Kyle. They were probably 18 or 19 at the time of writing this. They were taking it serious for an 18 or 19-year-old who was just immature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fine.
Like when we were 16, we wanted to do all the stupid crap that they do on this kind of stuff. It was the cool thing to do. I absolutely think they took it serious. They were just immature. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
I mean, imagine like the pressure from like your label. So say like, they signed to Rise, they released the first record, but the first record was already kind of written. That's just the like, hey, this is the agreement. Like we'll sign you, but you got to release your record. And now it's released like, hey, now you got to like actually write and release a record under us. If you're going to take it serious.
Don't get me wrong. Plagues is my favorite album from them.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. Like, it's like a cheesier deathcore album. Like,
yeah,
it's super fast, but it's very technical. And I don't know. This is my favorite album by far. Hey John, what's your name again? Is like, that's their best song. The breakdown at the end of that song is just insane. Yeah. I mean, I remember like the intro to Reptar King of the Ozone, where it's like that really fast riff at the beginning, like, and then he just starts screaming. Dude, it's incredible. This album is so good.
I think what's fun to point out too is this is like the era of crazy album art.
Yeah.
Just bizarre stuff. And it was all done by the same company. Do you guys like remember like all the weird like shirts that like people would print? Like Day to Remember had tons of them.
I had the Reptar King of the Ozone Devil Wears Prada shirt. I had Reptar on the front of me from Rugrats. I freaking love that shirt, man. It was awesome.
That like the album art was cool, but when merch started coming out like that, I was like, I'm not buying any of that. Because I'm just such like a gatekeeping varsity block letter, like just simple write it on, I liked like the old prints that like Under Oath would do on the side of the shirt and stuff.
Some of this got a little too Hot Topic-y.
Exactly.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
As soon as it literally looked like that I could fit in at 7-Eleven, I didn't want to buy it anymore.
If you thought to yourself, my fingerless gloves would look really good with this shirt, we're out. All right?
Right.
Like, we're out,
Right. So,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So then their next record, which is actually...
Before we skip over this, which album art did you prefer? Did you prefer the original Plagues or the special edition?
I don't think I've ever seen special edition.
The special edition's the colorful one. The original one, it was like a scene of locusts.
I don't know that I remember that.
Really?
Oh,
it
wait. Like, with the lady like holding her face?
Yeah. And it's like locusts around it.
Oh, shoot, dude. I forgot about that.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Really? That's the album that I had. That's the album art that belongs with this album.
Nah, I don't know though.
Not the colorful crap.
I don't know that I agree with that. I actually think I think looking at it now, the special edition colorful one fits better.
Don't give me that colorful crap. I respected the Devil Wears Prada for putting out Plagues with that original album art, and then they went Hot Topic when they did their special edition colorful thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, leading into their next, we'll get to the next one, but I don't know. Very fond of memories of this album. We listened to this one a ton, and I remember going pretty nuts for them live. You know, because I think this came out when 2007.
2007.
So this is when they're doing like the Chiodos tour that had like Scary Kids. And I'm trying to think, they did a bunch of Warped Tours and stuff. I felt like they were a Warped Tour staple, you know.
They were. 2000.
They did
was it 7 or was it 2008 that they started becoming a staple though?
They did like a Rise Records tour with Drop Dead Gorgeous and Dance Gavin Dance.
I actually remember that.
Yeah.
I think we saw that one. Because I remember being out front talking to Dance Gavin Dance before the show, actually.
I remember they came in 2008 with A Day to Remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were at that show. That was out at Saltaire.
I got in trouble at that one.
I'm sure
That's pretty usual.
A lot of people got in trouble at that one.
Yeah.
Dude, that one was weird. That one, like, they ended up being the headliner, so it was a weird tour where A Day to Remember would headline part of it and Devil Wears Prada would headline part of it. They were flopping. And they headlined Salt Lake, and it was like packed. Like you couldn't move for A Day to Remember. And I would say about 60% of the crowd cleared out after A Day to Remember, which was a little bit disappointing. But at the same time, we ran wild for the Devil Wears Prada. So it was way fun that way. But I like pack shows. I think pack shows are fun. Making your little 5-foot pit where you're all like trying to fight to keep it open while one person's swinging in there. I thought it was fun.
You know, at 17 years old, it was way fun. Not at 34. I just want to be left alone.
I still enjoy a good pack show.
I agree with that.
So,
yeah, their next record after Plagues. Hold on, my phone just shut
with
off.
Roots Above and Branches Below.
Yes. This is by far overall my favorite record from them.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Dude,
I think actually it's a consensus number one for a lot of people.
See, it's not my least favorite, right? It's not included in the two that I mentioned before, but I do not get the hype around this album. It doesn't do it for me.
I do think, though, that they kind of tried to just make a better version of Plagues.
Which just surprises me on why you would put this as number one, though, because typically bands that we've talked about that have done this, you have not been a huge fan of that.
Well, apparently they succeeded.
Okay. I think there's better songs on the record. Like the first four songs and then 6, like Danger Wild Man. Well, dude, that was such a fun song to listen to.
That one was awesome.
But
that was really good.
Sassafras comes in super heavy. Assistant to the regional manager. That's such a well-written song.
Yeah, but it feels like a more sceney version of Plagues, which I didn't think was possible. But that's how I felt about this one. And actually, my favorite song off of this album is Louder Than Thunder.
Okay.
The slow one. Because they did that super freaking well, too. So, but I don't know. I just never really got into this one. And I remember when it came out, everybody was on this album's balls, dude, riding it hard. And I don't know. Even going back and listening to it, I'm just like, it's good, but it just doesn't do it for me. I'd rather listen to Plague.
So this is in the middle of, digital recording is the thing. And at this point I was like, well, if someone's going to actually digital record, just go all out. And obviously this entire album sounds so robotic, but to me, it sounds so good to play in your stereo. And it's just super fun to listen to.
This album Kyle, you've said this about this band when we've been talking before. They were often like at the forefront of the way the trends were going.
Right.
And this album absolutely encompasses that. This was the first album that it wasn't as heavy, and it started this trend into almost the metalcore we're into currently. And because of that, it was a very big staple. You also got to think this album comes out in 2009. This is like the peak of Hot Topic core.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this album, you already talked about the crazy shirts. Again, they're sticking with the stupid song names. Everything that encompassed the Hot Topic core was put into this album. And they did it very, very well. Very, very well.
See, I think even in 2009, that bugged me.
I feel like we were starting to, we were
growing up. We were boys to men at this point. All right.
We had already had 3 years with the Devil Wears Prada before people knew who the Devil Wears Prada were. Like, they got to the Devil Wears Prada in 2008 with Still Fly from Punk Goes Crunk, which is their number one song. Let's be honest about it.
Are we going to talk specifically about that? Because I want to share a story around that. So
we can after this. But honestly, like, one of my favorite songs on here, like a deep cut, is Big Wiggly Style.
Mm-hmm.
That song at 1:20, where you want to talk about like just something different. The piano comes in and it almost sounds like old Super Nintendo Final Fantasy fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Cool. It's way fun. You like all of a sudden like the boss comes up and you get the crazy like it just comes in so cool. And so like I love that, but this has fantastic songs. Assistant to the Regional Manager, Danger Wild Band, Des Moines. Those are the like big ones off this album. But I do think that overall it just is it's a good solid album straight through. I'm with Kyle though. Plagues for me it can't be beat.
Yeah.
Well, Zombie 1 is their best. Zombie 1 is their best. Full lengths is Plagues.
I think musically, you're right. Zombie EP is their best, but Plagues will always be my favorite just because like the sentimental value of that, like, because we had like iPods at this time, right? So like I had like the Devil Wears Prada that had Plagues and freaking Still Fly, you know, and that's just like what we would plug into my car, you know?
Right. Yeah,
Let me ask this though. Were bands doing huge bass drops? Like, did they, I don't really remember a ton of like, I guess Parkway Drive maybe had like crazy bass drops, but I don't really know bands that were doing like huge bass drop breakdowns like they were.
I would say any band that recorded with Joey Sturgis has them.
Yeah.
It's like Attack, even the latest, or not the Confide record he did.
Maybe I should have brought this up during Plagues because I know Plagues, they did it, but I don't remember bands necessarily before Plagues. It was like these massive bass drops that would like break my car.
Oh, 100%.
Which was first? Was Attack or was Plagues first? Because I honestly, like, I do feel like it might have been.
I think Attack was 2008.
2008 was Someday Came Suddenly. So no, it actually probably was the Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
I bet.
I mean, I'm sure there's more, but I don't remember it like this, you know?
Yeah.
So
it was definitely something. I think Josh is right. It was Joey Sturgis. So whoever the first band who recorded with Joey Sturgis is probably the first heavy bass drop. That's what we should look up.
All right, man. So Still Fly, right, on Punk Goes Crunk. We used to blast that in your car. And I remember driving down the street. I don't know how we haven't talked about this yet, but we used to have our little crew, the Wet Band, where we would balloon people. And we drove past a bunch of these guys playing basketball outside. And do you remember this? We like slowed down to like a crawl and we're blasting Still Fly. And all these guys come up and are like dancing. And then we just start nailing them with water balloons. Like every time I hear "Still Fly," I just instantly think to that memory of seeing freaking James standing on the sidewalk dancing to "Still Fly" and like 15 balloons just nailing.
I remember we threw balloons at a bunch of kids at the Kaysville Park. You remember we went down that windy road and they got in their trucks, started following us,
and we were lobbing them out. I think we were in my car, right? That had the sunroof, and we're like lobbing water balloons up the sunroof at them while we're driving. Yeah,
I remember threw something in my car. I'm like, oh no, dude, that was so fun.
Oh man,
Good
we
times.
could talk about the Wet Bandits for an entire episode.
I know.
But
anyways, so we're doing EPs too, right? Because I think Zombie is next.
I wasn't going to, but if you guys want to throw in an EP, do it.
I don't feel like you can talk about the Devil Wears Prada and not talk about
EPs.
their couple EPs because they were so good. And we've talked offline several times about the storytelling aspect that the Devil Wears Prada has. And the Zombie EP is where this begins. They set up this post-apocalyptic world and like the storytelling in it, the brutality of the songs, like the shotgun cock right before the breakdown. Like this, the Zombie EP is some of the best metalcore that came out in 2010.
I don't even know. I would say it's borderline deathcore album.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It treads those lines very close.
It's heavy. I just remember freaking Outnumbered, where it's like the radio announcement about the zombie breakout and stuff, and talking about how like you need to have like force of action against zombies, and it's like this is not a drill, and then it just and it just super fast intro. Dude, I will like that gave me chills the first time I heard it. And the breakdown at the end of that song, even when I was like listening to it in my car, I was like I was like that one dude, you know, it's like punching the window. That was going to be me listening to this.
Yeah.
It's so good. Did you not listen to the EPs, Josh?
I remember the Zombie EP coming out. It was a 2010, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, but I didn't care for it.
Oh, you're crazy, man.
That's wild.
Yeah. Just like
you need to go back and listen to it. It might resonate with you more now.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I just remember when it came out, it just, to me, it wasn't the Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, see, and I will hard disagree with you because this was the return to form after Roots. Like, I wasn't as big of a fan of Roots when it came out. This album, like, returned them to what I had loved about the Devil Wears Prada from Plagues.
It's
heavy.
fast and aggressive, and it doesn't stop at all. There's no slow parts in this entire EP.
I kind of remember, like, I've listened to it. It's just been,
It's almost like a thrash album, dude. Seriously, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of singing on it either, was there?
There was, but it was actually overlaid with his screaming oftentimes, like specifically in Outnumbered. What does he say? Find your host, find your shelter, something like that.
Yeah.
He screams and sings at the same time. And so like it's overlaid. It's just, dude, it's just balls to the wall heavy.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I'm glad you guys liked it.
It's better than the next thing they put out.
And that is the worst thing you've ever said.
Well, I was going to try and group these three albums in together. And the reason I want to do that is because I feel like from 2011 to 2016, I wasn't really listening to this kind of music anymore. I don't think really any of us were.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You guys like just doing other things. But so these were definitely three albums that I kind of had to go back and catch up on. I don't think any of them are really like bad albums, but none of them really stood out to me. But like, I really liked, I think out of the three, so there's Transit Blues, A18, and Dead Throne. And I think I like Transit Blues the most out of those three.
You guys are whack. You guys are whack. And you're like, there's something fundamentally wrong. And I hate metal. I hate metal right now. But Dead Throne is like, if it wasn't for nostalgia factor with Plagues, Death Throne might be my favorite album from them.
Really?
It's so good. I don't understand why it's not up there for you guys.
Listen, I won't say it's not up there because it's up there. I mean, it's probably like the 4th best album on my rankings if I'm going through it. It's a good album. Your love with this album, though, it's misplaced.
No, dude, it's so good.
With this. Like, it's not their best work. It's good, but it was, I don't know. They got a lot more organy with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
what she
started. I don't know. It just like I was listening, like Josh said, I was just listening to other things. It never really caught me. It's a good album, but it was less synth, more organs, more.
That's right. I forgot. You don't like organ overlay stuff and music.
Yeah, man. Like,
I
listen
forgot about
with
that
little soul patch ears. Go listen to like Cradle of Filth or something. Like, that's what you need if you like organs so much.
Good. Mammoth might be my favorite song of theirs. The intro to that is the coolest thing ever.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, no, you're wrong. Kansas. That's like the interlude.
Mm-hmm.
When they play that live, because we saw them like right after this album with like the Color Morale. Do you remember that show?
I didn't go to it.
You didn't go to that one? Okay. This is 2012. This was like end of 2012.
I can't. It's possible I was there. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
They played Kansas, their like interlude song live, because like Mike will pick up a guitar and like there's like 3 guitars and stuff and they play it. And I literally just like sat there like with chills listening to them play it live with all the lights and stuff. It's incredible. It was so freaking cool. It's the best interlude song of any of the bands we've ever talked about. And that show was sick because when the Color Morale played, I like ran up to like Dogpile and then I got thrown on a speaker and like busted my back. But then he like the singer for the Color Morale lifted me up and like gave me the mic and I was like sitting there just screaming with him. But yeah, great show. Death Throne's awesome live. You guys are wrong.
You see that hole your back, tears coming out of your eyes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And I love it. So
it was a spiritual moment for you. We get it.
Yeah.
818.
Yeah.
I had not really even listened to this album. I don't feel like I need to listen to it anymore.
This is my least favorite album.
It's fine. But yeah, I'm with you. This is the last album on my list. I will listen to absolutely everything else from the Devil Wears Prada before I put this album on. It feels like it just got lost. It got lost in their transition from heavy to storytelling. Like you can see the direction that they're going into transit blues, but it just wasn't great.
I also wonder if like Mike's vocals are just shot at this point and they didn't know what to do. Right? Because you go from like Plagues to Roots and it's like he does like the super high stuff. I think that burned him out. So then you get Death Throne and it's like a lot of lows, you know? And then I think at that point, like, because you listen to his scream now, like, you know, this dude's vocal cords are just shot, right? Like he's doing what he can at this point. And I just wonder if they're like, well, we can't do Death Throne again because he can't scream like that. We can't do Plagues again because he can't scream like that, you know?
It's possible.
Yeah, I feel like I've read and I've listened to things with Mike before where he got really into, I guess he was always really into it, but a lot of reading, philosophy, things along those lines. And this is where the storytelling begins. Like Zombie was definitely a story, Dead Throne somewhat, but 818, like it's very cohesive. The album is very cohesive, front to back kind of thing. And it's like a story throughout. But I feel like they actually encapsulated that and did it very well. Number 1 on the Space EP, which is up next, and then to Transit Blues. In terms of full length, Transit Blues has that storytelling aspect much better than 818 in my opinion.
And he can do like the vocal part of it better. That way.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say though that like First Sight, cool song. Sailor's Prayer, cool song.
I think the whole record like is pretty good. Just nothing stuck out like Plagues or Roots or
Dead Throne.
anything.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like that sucks. That record didn't do very well. But it's almost it's like you say, it was just kind of lost.
Yeah. And like you go heavy on like Black and Blue and stuff. Like it's still a heavy song, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely the last one on my list.
It's kind of like I don't know. It's like a teeter-totter type thing. It's like that's the point where it like they change,
Right.
Yeah.
So if that's the album we have to get for the rest of their stuff, which I think is incredible as well, then cool. I'll look past that album.
I wonder if this was also the time where metalcore in general was changing, and they've already done so much metalcore. They've let it out. They've basically like been the pioneers and like dragging the rest of the scene along with them. And they're just like, I'm done. Like at this point, like I want to play what I want to play.
That's a good point.
I think they started to have some member turnover at this point. I don't know when all the turnover started happening because they're down to just Mike and Jeremy are the two originals. Everyone else is new at this point.
It is during this time because they take like a 2-year break between that. And then I don't know if you remember, they did like a YouTube documentary type thing when they recorded South of the City, that single, and they brought in that new drummer and stuff.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's right here. So you've lost a lot of like the input that you were getting from the rest of the band because now this is Jeremy and Mike's project.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing what they want to play.
Sure. Yeah.
So then Transit Blues, like I felt like
hold on. There's an EP in here we cannot miss.
Well, we're at an hour and 10, so you better.
I don't know what you want to do here. Like we should have talked about your wiener flapping around your backyard, I guess. You can't skip the Space EP because it's incredible.
I didn't listen to any of the EPs, so
Josh. Dude, the Space EP is so good. This album gives me like physical anxiety when I listen to it. That's how good that they did this like story of like an alien breaching a spaceship. It's awesome. You need to listen to it. They do like my issues with like Zombie with it being a vampire album. Instead, they should have done a vampire album. This though is like the epitome of a space album. It's incredible. Like they nailed it. They absolutely nailed the concept. So Planet A is one of my favorite songs of theirs, and so is Moon God. They're so good. Did you listen to it, Trevor?
Yeah. Okay. I've listened to this album quite a bit. And I agree with you in terms of sticking to a theme and like feeling like that theme is very encapsulated. It's one of the best like concept albums there is.
Yeah.
Like they do a very good job with it. It feels spacey. The way that they do the synth in the back, all of that kind of stuff.
The intro to Planet A, where it's like the piano.
Yeah.
And then it goes right into like the guitar parts that are playing like the cool piano sound. Like it just, and it feels super spacey and stuff. I don't know. You should go back and listen to the EPs, Josh.
I just don't have time.
Well,
dude, I've seen what you listen to. You have time.
Not to actually like pay attention. That's true. That sucks. Trying to go through like, no matter the size of Discog, but
it is hard. It is hard.
All right.
Yeah, Transit Blues is next. But yeah, I love that EP too. So
Transit Blues. I liked this more than the last two records. I feel like it started to kind of go a little bit back to what I liked about the Devil Wears Prada.
Which was?
I just felt like the songs were a little more well written. Like I liked the singing, screaming. To me, it kind of sounded like it was starting to go back towards Plagues and Roots. Not fully, but it didn't feel lost anymore. And I was like, okay, there's a lot more structure. Like this kind of feels like an evolution from what they should have been. Like they should have just... But they jumped around a lot. So like, from Transit Blues to Dead Throne, and like you were talking about their EPs, they kind of experimented with a lot of different sounds. So it kind of sounded to me like they were starting to kind of just go back.
Yeah. I am not particularly fond of this album. I remember listening to it when it came out. It was all right. However, I will say that Daughter is like a top 3, maybe all-time favorite song from the Devil Wears Prada. I don't know what it is about that song, but I think that song is so good. But the rest of the album was just kind of like, just there for me. I wasn't super impressed with it.
I think it's fine. I own it on vinyl. I've told you that. It's the Devil Wears Prada album that I have on vinyl. So I've listened to it quite a bit. I think that you're right, Josh. After 818, this actually feels like they had a plan. You know what I mean? There's very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
It goes together very well, especially after the Space EP. I think they developed that cohesion to be able to just front to back build albums out. And To the Key of Evergreen is a fantastic song towards the end. Even ending on Transit Blues. Transit Blues is really good too.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can listen to this album front to back. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of just this style in general, like this and the act and stuff like that, because there's moments that lull for me. And it's what you're saying. You have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good album if you can sit down and pay attention. If you're just turning something on in the background, I'm like, it'll be 10 minutes. I'd be like, oh, I'm listening to music still.
Right.
Like, there's some stuff that just disappears.
Kind of background noise.
Yeah. But see, I'll disagree a little bit with you on, because you mentioned the act being similar to it. I disagree with that. And I don't know if Josh, you have anything else you want to say on Transit Blue?
Not really. The act, I remember when they were getting ready to drop this, because they hadn't dropped the whole record yet. They just dropped a few songs. And they had dropped that song Chemical.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you guys think I'm wild. Chemical is the best song they've ever written.
I didn't get this album when I first listened to it.
Me either.
When I went back and listened to it this time, Josh, I actually might agree with you. Like, this album actually is starting to stack pretty high for me. Lines of Your Hands, what a great song. Chemical, what a great song. Like, this album actually, because now I'm in like a different place going back and listening to it. I'm like, I get it now. And you're right. I think it's an awesome album.
It's slower, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot more melodies, a lot more kind of, there's no more like kind of heavier riffs really, like in the earlier albums. But man, like it's almost like, it's funny because you were talking about his vocals, like how they were shot. It's almost like early on when I go back and listen to early records, the singing voice is like kind of good, but it's kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of whiny.
Yeah.
But as they get older, like I almost like the singing more because he kind of backed off. But then the actual screaming vocals, not as good.
Right.
kind of like they traded.
And you know what? When we were younger, I had a huge problem with like vocal variation. There was a scream that I had identified and I enjoyed very much. The Parkway Drive, very much the early Devil Wears Prada, A Day to Remember, Jeremy, his scream style. Like, that is what I liked. So when Mike fried his vocals and changed it up, I lost a ton of interest in the Devil Wears Prada. Since like I've gotten more back into music and stuff like that, especially hardcore, I actually really like different scream variations, and I actually appreciate Mike's scream now. It's just different.
Yeah.
But I've always had a thing for like being able to understand what people say. And so going back and listening to these albums and understanding through his yells is something that I actually really like. I really enjoy. I will say about the act though, this could have been an EP. This could have been 5 to 6 songs, because starting at Numb, there's not a song on that. There's after The Thread, I'm just like, I don't care about any of those songs. They're slower. Yeah, they're good. But again, it just turns into noise for me. There's nothing memorable about them. They could have done a 4 or 5 song EP and I would have been sassified.
You see, I kind of actually grew more interest because it was kind of slower. So I kind of had to like listen to what was going on. Sometimes if there's too much chaos, then it just I'm like,
But that's the thing. And this is what I was saying about Transit Blue. You have to pay attention. If you have the time to sit there and listen, I'll agree with you because they do storytelling. We were talking about it with Coheed. I'll put the Devil Wears Prada amongst the top. If you have the time to commit, how long is this album? 45 minutes. If you can sit down and listen to this 45-minute album and dedicate the time to it, awesome. If you are not going to pay attention to what it is, my mind will wander so fast if I'm not sitting there like I've got to listen to this. You know what I mean? So, and that's how I felt listening to it again.
I kind of agree with you after Numb. I don't know that those songs really did much for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice that because I actually was sitting down and listening to it. But I don't know. Like, I feel like, and this may be hypocritical for some of the things that I've said about other bands that have changed their sound. But I feel like there's bands that do it right, like AFI. Like AFI changed their sound, but it always felt like them, right? It felt unique, it felt new, it felt different, but it was always still AFI. Like when I think about Parkway Drive, like, yeah, they changed their sound, but it wasn't new, it wasn't unique, it wasn't different, and it didn't remind me of Parkway Drive, right? Like these albums, like The Act, the next like full length in Color Decay, even Transit Blue to some extent, like it still felt like the Devil Wears Prada, even though they had changed a lot, but they like it's new, it's different. And like we've said, they're kind of like trendsetters with this stuff, you know?
mm-hmm.
And so like I could going back get a lot more into this where I'm actually thinking about the music because like it's way different than what I would have liked back in the day. I would not have listened to this back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is really good. Like the music is very unique. It's super tight. There's a story. Like I like relate to this a lot more now.
Well, I feel like in the last record, Color Decay, I feel like, especially in Salt and Watchtower, there's a lot more passion I can feel like behind the vocals.
Yeah.
Having that's how I felt with Chemicals. Like you could feel like they were actually singing it because they actually meant it, you know?
Well, a lot of the stuff on the act is like kind of jacked up.
Right.
Like the song Please Say No, like I was like, I don't want to listen to this song, you know, because you know what it's about, right? And so, but I'm fine. I mean, it's art, like, so go ahead. Like, people should be exposed to that. We should sing about it, right? Like, so, but yeah, like you do feel the passion because it's like, it's not just a sassafras song anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a real story about like real bad things to tell. And so there is more emotion and passion. I agree with that.
Right.
So
what do you think,
also
Trevor?
There's the Zombie 2 EP before Color Decay. And I know you didn't listen to it, Josh, but it's incredible as well. So
is it good? This is the first Zombie EP.
This is the second one. They continue the story.
Is it just as good?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's more produced.
Right.
But it is just as good.
It's like, so it's 10 years later, right? It's like the Devil Wears Prada 10 years later. The style of music has adapted to what they're doing now compared to the chaos that was on Zombie 1. So you get, it's fine. Out of the 3 EPs, it's the lowest on my list, in my opinion. But it's good.
Yeah.
It's better than the act was. I'll say that. So
I disagree with that. But, yeah. But all right, the Color Decay.
The Color Decay. So this is my favorite album since Roots. I think that this album is fantastic. When you said they're starting to return to form, this, in my opinion, is their most returning to form. It gets faster on, Salt, The Exhibit, Noise. They're a little bit faster songs and stuff. You pick up the pace where Transit Blues and The Act had slowed down so much. This one kept me engaged. This one, like, I could listen to, and there was something that would happen where I'd be like, oh, that's sick. That's dope. And I wasn't getting that as much with the last two albums. So I really like this album. I think it's fantastic. You want to talk about like, gut wrenching stories and stuff. Cancer rapping out this album. It sounds like a Census Fell song. It's super emo,
Yeah.
right? But that is just like, it's such a brutal, I'm in such a dark place to be like, I hope it's cancer.
Yeah.
Because then I can just say it's cancer
Yeah.
and not have to go into it. Like, dude, that's just insane. That thought, that mentality. But this album it's great in my opinion. I really like this one.
Yeah, I really like that record. I think it's especially, I mean, you're talking a band that started in 2005, releasing something 17 years later. Yeah, 2022.
I don't do math.
You're right. You got it.
Yeah, that's wild. So basically, the album coming out in 2022, whoever hears that album first at 17 years old is basically us all over again.
That's a wild thought.
Yeah.
That's a wild thought.
Yeah.
I think your goatee just turned
Gray.
gray.
We've talked about this with some of the other bands. It would be really interesting to find somebody that found the Devil Wears Prada in The Act or Color Decay to see what they think about like their first 3 albums.
Right.
If anyone's listening to this, found them later, let us know.
They can't stomach them. I can already tell you because
I don't know, dude.
We're on to coworker metal. They don't mess with the early.
I don't think Color Decay or The Act is coworker metal like we were talking about.
Very much so.
I don't know.
Dude,
I will fight with you.
Coworker metal is like Breaking Benjamin and Five Finger Death Punch.
Or Pierce the Veil.
New Parkway Drive.
Listen, man.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the Devil Wears Prada, like, they aren't that exact style of music, but because it's slower, because there's a lot more singing, a lot more production, stuff like that, your coworkers could get down to this. They couldn't get down to Plagues.
I disagree, though, dude. I still disagree. Because The Act and Color Decay is the literal, like, dictionary definition of what Josh says about being heavy without being heavy. So we haven't said that in a while, so I'm going to say it now. Like, I still feel like this stuff is too dark and heavy for just the casual Breaking Benjamin fan. Now, like, I think that if you're talking coworker, just because of the way things have gone now because of TikTok, if they're like, oh, I like Knocked Loose, I also would assume they would listen to these. But if they're like, my favorite pop punk band is like Mayday Parade, then it's like, yeah, I don't think they're listening to these.
I'm talking like the people who are like, yeah, throw me a Fit for a King song on.
That's not coworker metal, dude. People don't listen to that.
Yes, it is, man. That's bro metal at this point. That's what you would hear in the gym that most people can stomach.
Josh, are they playing Fit for a King in the gym?
Well, I'll just put it like this. My coworker said he was into metal and suggested me the Slaughter to Prevail, Ronnie Radke, Tech 9. That's coworker metal.
I don't think the same person is listening to this. I don't think the same person is listening to this at all.
No. I mean that. So when he's like, "Yeah, I'm way into metal," it goes, "I'm gonna go see Slaughter to Prevail," or, oh man, what was another one? Bad Omens. Bad Omens is coworker metal.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Spirit Box.
Man, I listen to metal all the time. Yeah, Spirit Box. And I'm like,
this would fall in with
I don't think so, dude. I don't think so.
This would fall in with Spirit Box.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Man, I don't know. There's more. Listen, there's more depth to it. There's better storytelling. I like this. I think that it's really good and stuff because, again, we've grown up with these guys for 17 years and we've watched them develop this aspect of them. Great. If this was a new band coming out, putting this album out that wasn't the Devil Wears Prada, you cannot tell me that you were turning this album on a regular basis.
The Act, maybe.
Debatable. You specifically debatable.
Okay, I know. But I'm trying to like think objectively here, right? Like if I was the type of person to just turn on this stuff, then I think the Act I would. Color Decay, I like it. I don't feel like it's as unique as the Act was. And maybe it's because like the Act was
It's
first.
not. I
And
think the
so-
Act's way more unique.
But
I'd probably agree with you, but I do think that Color Decay did it better.
I mean, okay.
So, all right.
That's like saying who's better, Michael Jordan or Kobe?
Well, the answer is Michael Jordan. And yeah, there's
Maybe.
no debate on that.
Debatable.
All right. So we ranking these things.
Okay. Good band. Okay, we can rank them.
Just give me your top. Give me your top 3 and what the worst one is.
Okay,
Let's do that.
Top 3 are we including EPs or just see, but that's hard with EPs.
No EPs.
No EPs.
No, okay.
All right. So then it's
That
Plagues.
makes it harder
It's
for me.
Plagues, it's Dead Throne, and then it's the Act. The worst one is 818.
I would say Roots, Plagues, and then the Act. And then I think I would say I'd probably go with 818. And not because I didn't even think it was bad. I just didn't resonate with it like at all.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just not as good as everything else.
I give it like a solid C minus.
Yeah, it's a passing
Like
grade.
passable, but
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
yeah, better do better next term.
Which they did.
Yeah.
So I'm going Plagues. And then my number 2 slot, like I've just got such nostalgia for Dear Love, but I can't put it above with Roots. So like they're in like 2 together for me. Dear Love is 100% nostalgia. I am not saying it's their best album. I mean, the writing on it is very juvenile. Everything about it, it just has Dogs Can Grow Beards all over, which was a massive song for me in general. So it's got to be up there. And then Color Decay would be my third. And 818. 818, it just got lost.
Yeah.
We said it when we talked about it. They weren't relevant at the time. And this album very much, in my opinion, shows that. So that's kind of how I feel. But overall,
Cool.
I think that these guys are great. Very influential, massive in our upbringing. We listen to these guys so much. Like I love Devil Wears
Our
Prada.
whole friend group did. Even ones that weren't into heavy music were still listening to Plagues and stuff. You know, like it was a staple for
By
us.
force
Yeah,
or
we
choice.
That's what I was gonna say. We may force that on a lot of people, but hey, you know what? We brought a lot of people to the scene
I
because
will
of it.
say I probably out of like the heavier bands that we did listen to, I think the friends that didn't like heavy music tolerated the Devil Wears Prada more than the others.
Yeah, because at least it was fun. Like at least Plagues was fun. You know.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we introduced them to something like Stick to Your Guns or even like Sleeping Giant, they just left.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was serious. They weren't wearing the Hot
That's
Topic
a little
shirts,
too much.
They're like, oh shoot, you guys like this stuff for real?
I thought this was all a game.
Joke. Yeah.
That's
for real. So, well, I think next week, I think we're going to hop back on locals. We were supposed to do that last week, but we took a week off. So we're going to hop back on locals. And then after that, is it your turn, Kyle?
It's me. Yup. I got a few ideas. So
all right.
We will talk.
Well,
we will discuss.
We'll throw it out there later, but this was a long episode. I'm cutting a bunch of stuff about peeing in yards and stuff like that. So.
No.
No way, dude. If you do it, you're a wiener.
Exactly. You're one of those floppy wieners that we were talking about.
All right. We'll end it on that note, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peace.
Adios.
My